Section: Introduction. In this section, we delve into the field of origins of life, OOL, where the discussion revolves around defining life and understanding the processes that lead to its emergence. Various theories highlight different aspects of living systems, such as the significance of RNA, metabolism, or autocatalytic chemical networks. Shifting focus from existing life to potential life, as explored by the artificial life (alife) community, adds complexity to the question of life's definition and emergence. A key transition point is the appearance of self-replicators, marking a shift from pre-life to life dynamics. Self-replicators, like RNA, DNA, and autocatalytic networks, play a crucial role in this transition. They are also prevalent in computer simulations, where agents are designed to self-replicate. The study of self-replication extends to various systems like cellular automata, CA, neural CA, particle systems, and neural networks. The focus of our paper is on self-replicators in computational substrates, particularly in explicit programs that copy themselves. Research in OOL and alife often centers on the period when self-replicators are abundant, exploring how complexity emerges from simple self-replicators through mathematical models and simulations. Selection for complex behaviors is a common theme, with experiments using assembly-like languages as computational substrates. The emergence of life from a pre-life stage to one teeming with self-replicators is a fundamental question. Autocatalysis, where certain reactions catalyze themselves, is a key concept studied extensively in OOL. Autocatalytic networks naturally arise in prebiotic environments and have been simulated in computational experiments. Researchers have explored different computational substrates, such as lambda calculus and combinatorial logic, to study the emergence of self-replicators. These substrates offer insights into how complex replicators like RNA and DNA could have originated. Our paper aims to advance understanding by investigating how self-replicators emerge in computational substrates built on various programming languages, showcasing experiments conducted in environments lacking explicit fitness landscapes. Section Summary. In this section, we explore the transition from pre-life to life by studying computational substrates built on various programming languages. We observe that self-replicators emerge primarily through self-modification, with or without background random mutation, in environments lacking an explicit fitness landscape. By extending languages like brainfuck and experimenting with systems akin to the primordial soup in Fontana's Turing gas, we demonstrate the emergence of self-replicators with diverse behaviors, including competition for space. However, in the SUBLEQ language, we find that the shortest handcrafted self-replicators are notably longer compared to other substrates, indicating a unique challenge in this context. Section: BFF. Extending brainfuck. In this section, we delve into extending the brainfuck (BF) programming language, known for its minimalistic nature. The original BF language comprises only 8 basic commands: a data pointer, an instruction pointer, an input stream, and an output stream. It mainly involves simple mathematical operations like adding or subtracting one, making it challenging for humans to use. Our extension involves creating a self-contained environment where programs modify themselves. We achieve this by replacing input and output streams with operations that copy data from one position to another on the same tape. The instruction pointer, along with read and write heads, all work on the same tape, initialized to zeros. The instruction set includes various commands, and the programs terminate either when parenthesis matching fails or after reading a fixed number of characters. In our experiments, we focus on a family of extended BF languages called BFF. We simulate a primordial soup scenario where multiple programs interact with each other. Each program consists of 64 characters randomly initialized. These programs can self-modify or undergo random mutations during interactions. The execution of concatenated programs generally modifies both original programs. This interaction can be likened to a chemical reaction, where the order of programs matters. Through these interactions, self-replicators can emerge, acting as immediate autocatalytic reactions. We introduce a complexity metric called high-order entropy, which captures the information that arises from relations between different characters in a string. This metric aims to factor out information from independently sampled variables. While computing high-order entropy requires knowing the Kolmogorov complexity, which is uncomputable, we approximate it using text compression methods. This approximation allows for a fast computation of complexity metrics in our experiments. Section Summary. In this section, we extend the brainfuck (BF) programming language to operate in a self-contained universe where data and instruction tapes are the same, allowing programs to modify themselves. By replacing input and output streams with operations to copy from one head to another, we create a family of extended BF languages called BFF. Through primordial soup simulations where programs interact by executing concatenated code, self-replicators emerge without explicit fitness functions. Additionally, we introduce a novel complexity metric called high-order entropy to capture information that arises from relations between different characters in a string, showcasing its theoretical properties in measuring complexity. Section: How self-replicators emerge, a case study. In this section, we zoom in and analyze the dynamics of the state transition in a specific BFF run. We have developed tools to help us pinpoint the exact moment and location where the replicator emerges, as well as understand what occurs before and after that point. To aid in this analysis, we use a technique inspired by radioactive tracers in biology. We attach extra information tokens to all characters in the soup, which are packed into 64-bit integers. These tokens help us track the origin of characters and detect state transitions. In the simulation we studied, the soup consisted of 10 by 10 tapes of 28 by 28 characters, resulting in 29 unique tokens at the start. By analyzing these tokens, we can detect a state transition. Without a state transition, the number of unique tokens gradually decreases and stabilizes around 30, indicating a balance between mutations and accidental replications. However, during a state transition, there is a sudden drop in the number of unique tokens, and the soup is dominated by a few token IDs. We found that the token and complexity state transitions align perfectly, highlighting the usefulness of high-order entropy in detecting the emergence of self-replicators. By tracing the origin of tokens, we were able to pinpoint the exact moment and tape where the first replicator emerged. To demonstrate the behavior of a self-replicator combined with another program, we extracted and sanitized a self-replicator from our runs. We then concatenated this program with a string of zero-value bytes and executed it. The instruction pointer looped infinitely, copying one instruction at each cycle due to the self-replicator being a palindrome. Looking at 1,000 different runs with the same hyperparameters, we observed how high-order entropy initially increased and then decreased with different distributions. State transitions became more likely as epochs passed, with stable self-replicators appearing in 40% of the runs within 16,000 epochs. In another experiment, we varied the mutation rates to study the impact of random mutations on the appearance of self-replicators. Increasing the mutation rate accelerated the emergence of self-replicators. Even without background mutations, state transitions occurred with similar frequency, indicating that random bit flipping speeds up the process but is not the sole cause of self-replicator emergence. The state transition was not limited to the beginning, suggesting that random initialization alone does not lead to self-replicator emergence. Section Summary. In this section, we zoom in to analyze the dynamics of a specific BFF run to understand how self-replicators emerge. By attaching extra information tokens to soup characters inspired by radioactive tracers, we can pinpoint the moment and location where replicators emerge. Through token analysis, we detect state transitions in the soup, observing a sudden drop in unique tokens leading to the dominance of a few token IDs, aligning with complexity state transitions and aiding in the detection of self-replicators. Section: Comparison with random initialization. In this section, we explore the likelihood of self-replicators appearing at initialization. Detecting self-replicators is challenging because they may not simply copy the entire string and can be part of a more complex autocatalytic set. To estimate their presence, we look at high-order entropy, which indicates a state transition when self-replicators become dominant. However, self-replicators take time to spread through the system and can be easily destroyed during this period. We conducted 1,000 runs for 4 types of experiments to compare outcomes. The long run involved random initialization and 16K epochs, with around 60% of runs failing to produce self-replicators. The short run had random initialization and only 128 epochs, where a state transition occurred very rarely, only 3 times out of 1,000. The seeded run started with a handwritten self-replicator and showed a 22% chance of a state transition. The difference in self-replicator emergence between the short and long runs may be due to the latter having more entropy from background noise and random interactions. Surprisingly, a run with 0 mutation rate and fixed sequence of shuffle patterns showed a higher likelihood of a state transition than the one with higher entropy. In spatial simulations, we explored a 2D environment with localized communication among BFF programs. Self-replicators still emerged in this setup, but their propagation speed differed from the usual setup. In a 2D grid, self-replicators took a number of epochs proportional to the grid side lengths to spread, allowing for a visualization of their evolution and behavior. This environment also enabled different variations of self-replicators to coexist and compete. Section Summary. In this section, we compare different initialization methods to understand the likelihood of self-replicators emerging. We find that self-replicators are rare and can easily be destroyed during the initialization phase, with only a small percentage managing to take over the system. Additionally, spatial simulations in 2D environments show that self-replicators still emerge, but their propagation speed and behavior differ from those in zero-dimensional environments, providing insights into their evolution and coexistence. Section: Code for Experiments. In this section, we worked on experimenting with different codes that support both CUDA and CPU execution. We can choose either option during compilation, and both will yield the same results. By default, all parameters in the experiments are set to their standard values. The codebase we used supports multiple languages. To run the BFF variant discussed in a previous section, we need to specify lang BFF_noheads. We also explored an alternative environment called long tape simulations, where a single long tape contains all the code and data. In these simulations, we randomly select a starting position on the tape and execute instructions sequentially until a certain limit of operations is reached or an error occurs. Unlike in primordial soup simulations, where individual strings could determine self-replicators, in long tape settings, self-replicators are identified as substrings. We found that BFF variants can generate self-replicators in long tape simulations as well. One key difference in long tape simulations is deciding the initial positions of head 0 and head 1. If these positions are set the same as in the initial PC, simple self-replicators quickly dominate. Introducing an offset to head 1 allows looping self-replicators to emerge. An offset slightly larger than 8, such as 12 or 16, seems to work well. Although not discussed in detail here, the code for these experiments is available. We also observed the emergence of self-replicators in languages other than BFF, such as Forth and emulations of AZ80 CPU architecture. However, in the case of the SUBLEQ language, despite significant effort, we did not observe self-replicators. Forth, a family of languages, differs from BFF by incorporating a stack. Input commands either push values onto the stack or perform operations on it, allowing the stack to function similarly to the heads in BFF programs. We explored 2 variants of Forth in different settings, the primordial soup setting and the long tape setting. Despite self-replicators emerging in both settings, we did not find an instruction set that works seamlessly for both. In the primordial soup simulations inspired by BFF, we used a variant of fourth with a restricted instruction set and fixed size tapes that interact through concatenation. This fourth variant allows for a simple 1-byte self-replicator to emerge, leading to more complex self-replicators over time. The dynamics of these programs are intriguing, with self-replicators evolving rapidly. Moreover, this fourth formulation also produces self-replicators in higher dimensions, as shown in snapshots of a 2D grid. These self-replicators exhibit diversity, indicating ongoing competition among programs in the soup. The code for these experiments is available for further exploration. Section Summary. In this section, we provide code for experiments exploring self-replicators in different programming languages and environments. We observed self-replication not only in BFF but also in fourth and Z80 CPU emulations, while not in subleq. Fourth, with its stack-based structure, allows for self-replicators to emerge in both tape pairing and long tape settings, showcasing diverse dynamics in self-replication. Section: Long tape simulations. In this section, we explored long tape simulations where there is a single long, continuous program or tape. We tested different fourth variants that can create replicators. To improve performance, we ran multiple threads simultaneously, even though this sacrificed determinacy by not using locking mechanisms. This means that all counters were only approximate. However, we found that this did not significantly impact the behavior of the simulations. We tried using the same instruction set as before but made some modifications to see if replicators would emerge. Although we did not observe replicators with these changes, we confirmed that the variations were feasible by introducing a handcrafted replicator into the long tape. This replicator used the stack to copy itself repeatedly, filling up the entire tape and persisting indefinitely. The main variant we focused on showed the spontaneous creation of replicators. With a tape length of 65,536 bytes and a mutation rate of 1 in every 400,000 instructions, we typically saw good replicators emerge in about 60 seconds or 180 billion instructions. Each thread executed around 63 instructions per second, choosing a random starting point and running until an error occurred or a set number of instructions were executed. We observed that bad replicators, which only occupied part of the tape, appeared within seconds but did not last long due to mutations. On the other hand, good replicators emerged within a minute, leading to a sudden increase in complexity. These replicators usually had a long non-functional section followed by a short functional replicating part to increase efficiency and stability. In addition to the fourth simulations, we also experimented with primordial soup simulations using the subleq language, which has a single instruction. We managed to create self-replicators in subleq, but they were relatively long. To explore further, we developed a variant called rsubleq4, which allowed for shorter self-replicators. When seeding the soup with a self-replicator, it quickly dominated the environment. However, in randomly initialized soups, self-replicators were rare, and the soup remained mostly uniform after many executions. This led us to consider factors influencing the emergence of self-replicators in different languages and environments. The experiment's code is available for further exploration. Section Summary. In this section, we explore long tape simulations in a single tape environment that allows for the emergence of replicators. By using multiple threads without locking mechanisms for performance reasons, we observe the spontaneous inception of replicators in a fourth variant with a specific instruction set. These replicators exhibit a pattern of non-functional code followed by a functional replicating tail, showing a trade-off between error prevention and efficiency. Section: Real-world instruction sets. In this section, we delved into exploring the emergence of self-replicators and state transitions in various computational substrates using simple languages. To test the broadness of our findings, we conducted an experiment with a system emulating the real-world Z80 CPU architecture. We set up a 2D grid of 16-byte programs filled with random noise and ran simulations where we combined adjacent tapes, A and B, in random order and executed instructions using the concatenated tapes as memory. Mutations were introduced to random bytes in the grid alongside the self-modification process driven by the CPU. This setup led to the emergence of complex behaviors, with self-replicators taking advantage of different Z80 features. Some self-replicators formed symbiotic ecosystems, while others competed for dominance. We observed state transition-like events as more capable self-replicators or groups took over the system multiple times. Initially, stack-based copying mechanisms were common, but later, self-replicators utilizing instructions like LDIR or LDDR to copy memory chunks became prevalent. We developed an interactive lab to study Z80 self-replicators and also explored the 8080 CPU in a long tape setting, where we observed non-looping replicators. These replicators were effective in 8080 but not in long tape BFF due to their inability to occupy all memory. In our analysis, we demonstrated how self-replicating programs can emerge in different computational substrates, such as BF, 4th, Z80, and 8080 CPUs, through self-modification and mutation. However, we found that SUBLEQ-like languages required longer initial self-replicators, hindering their spontaneous emergence. This diversity in computational substrates offers a new perspective on the emergence of lifelike behaviors, distinct from biological systems. We raised questions about the complexity that can arise in such computational systems, the factors influencing self-replicator emergence, and the potential for guiding system evolution towards more intricate functions. Exploring these ideas may deepen our understanding of life's boundaries and possibilities across various substrates.